getting on the bike. She's wearing her helmet, and her dad's eating a bowl of Raisin Bran.
Okay.
And they're talking about like make good decisions. And so he's sitting there eating his Raisin Bran, and he goes, "Fiber is good for digestive health." And then on the box it says Raisin Bran is high fiber. Have you ever seen that? Have you actually?
I actually have not seen that
I've seen it multiple times,
Yeah.
probably because I put the Today Show on while I'm eating breakfast and getting Josie ready. So it's probably like a common like one during that time. So that's why I see it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about fiber. We've talked about it many, many times.
Yes.
And a lot of your presentations, you say, if there's anything you can get out of this presentation is to eat more fiber.
Fiber is so key.
Okay.
And we don't have enough time in a Facebook Live to talk about all the benefits of fiber.
Okay. Before we get into like the benefits of Raisin Bran and if it's good fiber or bad fiber, things like that, tell us about the importance of fiber. First, I want to talk about the specific importance when it comes to cancer.
Okay.
Prevention and management.
So the first thing that comes to mind to me about fiber when it comes to cancer is that related to fiber is definitely associated. Higher fiber diets are associated with decreased cancer risk. And one of the main reasons for that, especially as it relates to hormonal cancer such as breast cancer, prostate cancer, etc., is the fact that when we eat fiber, let me start this by saying, okay, so we have our liver filters out toxins, medications, waste products, like carcinogens, etc. Okay, so when that liver filters that out, it then goes through the bile duct and then into the GI tract. The fiber picks up that waste, those toxins, the medications, the excess estrogen and other sex steroid hormones, and excretes it as your stool.
Interesting. I didn't realize that the liver, I mean, I knew the liver did that because like when you think about alcohol, you think about the liver and the kidneys, but that makes sense how it's doing all the other bad stuff that your body needs to filter out.
It's a big filtering system.
But the bile goes into the digestive tract?
So and then that moves through the bile tract, and then bile helps digest fat or as a emulsifier for fat.
Gotcha.
So it just goes through that and then gets into the GI tract and then reduces excess circulating levels of sex steroid hormones, therefore reducing the risk of hormonally breast cancers. Now, 2/3 of breast cancers are estrogen receptor positive. So that's a really good positive thing. But I also want to note for my triple negative breast cancer patients is that fiber still has incredible benefits for reducing the risk of triple negative breast cancer as well.
So now we're not only talking about reducing risk, we're actually helping the people who may have already been diagnosed, trying to get that through and then keeping them in remission.
Whether it's prevention during the course of treatment or post-treatment, fiber can be really good. The exception is that during the course of treatment, this is where it's important to see an oncology dietitian, depending on what side effects you're experiencing. And I mean, if you have other extenuating circumstances, other side, but fiber plays a big, big role.
Okay, so you're talking about hormone-related things. So that I assume that when you're talking about even like PCOS or endometriosis, did I say that right?
Yep, endometriosis.
Things like that where it can be like hormonal, that's going to help too. So it's really a benefit for a lot of things.
Yep, and then when it comes to PCOS, not just the estrogen, but the androgens or the other sex steroid hormones can be reduced by eating high amounts of fiber as well.
What about for like lupus and anti-inflammatory? Does that help with the anti-inflammatory
Fiber
too?
is very anti-inflammatory because what it does is fiber feeds our good bacteria. And the good bacteria ferments and digests that and turns and produces something called short-chain fatty acids. And short-chain fatty acids are anti-inflammatory.
Okay, I feel like we could have a whole seminar on fiber, but those are really good basics. So let's talk about how do we know when there's a good amount of fiber? Because you'll see that in some like the Kellogg's commercial, it says high fiber on the Kellogg's Raisin Bran box. Is it truly a good source of fiber? Is it a good amount of fiber per serving?
Well, it's interesting that you bring the Raisin Bran up because I think Raisin Bran gets a worse rap than it deserves because of how much sugar it has. It does have added sugar. I want to make that very clear. But when you look at total carbohydrates and total sugar, you also see the sugar that's natural from the fruit.
Yes, because raisins actually have it. And I have a little guide here. I pulled up the Kellogg's actual label. So right now it's saying that there's 17 grams of sugar in one serving of Raisin Bran.
But the new label tells us how many grams of added sugar
which is really important when we're talking about fruit and things like that and those natural occurring fructose and sugars. So there's 9 grams of added sugar. So remember, there's 4 grams of sugar per 1 teaspoon. So in that case, this is a little over 2 teaspoons of sugar added to the serving.
So it's actually not as bad as we think it is, right? It's still not like the greatest thing. We want to try to eat whole grains when they're intact as much as possible. Okay. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what Dr. Greger notes as the 5-to-1 fiber rule.
Yes. Okay. We love this one. It's so simple to remember.
Yes. So this can help you determine whether this is a good bread product, cracker product, cereal product, anything that's like a whole grain that's somewhat processed, because we always want to be eating intact grains as much as possible. Brown rice, farro, barley, you name it. Those are intact because you haven't broken them down into a fiber or anything yet. When they're not intact, then you kind of want to use this 5-to-1 fiber rule to help you determine. So what you do is I have one of my favorites, the Angelic Bakehouse garden wraps. This is the sweet potato turmeric. So what you do is you take the carbohydrates divided by fiber, and you want it to be less than 5 in order to be a good one.
Yeah. So, and in one that we would eat like on a regular basis. So if it's a little higher than the 5, eat in moderation. If we're talking like 10,
it doesn't
mean more
of
a red light, like occasional food.
It doesn't mean don't eat anything that is greater than 5. No. It just means that if you're going to be consuming this, like, don't be deceived by whether it's just because it says whole grain that it truly is a good whole grain source. So this has one wrap has 19 grams of carbohydrates and 4 grams of fiber. So you take 19 divided by 4, and that I think is 4.75. So it's less than 5. So it meets the number.
Perfect.
So their other breads also do the same. So what this really means is that you're getting a really good source of whole grain to fiber ratio. Now keep in mind some products will like add powdered fiber and that will throw this off. But in here it's whole grains, wheat berries, quinoa, millet, oat groats, barley, rye berries, amaranth, water, whole wheat flour, wheat gluten, sweet potato juice, a little bit of agave syrup, sunflower oil, and oat fiber. So this does have a little bit of oat fiber in it, so keep that in mind. But they're really good, and they meet the ratio.
Okay, so if we look at the ratio for Raisin Bran, we're looking at 47 carbs divided by 7 grams of fiber. I already did the math. It's 6.57. So it falls into the more moderate area when it comes to fiber. So Kellogg's is right. It's would you say good in fiber?
Oh, it's a great source of fiber. It has 7 grams per serving. That's really good.
Just remember your sugar intake at that point.
Yeah, but oatmeal is always going to be a better choice. Yes. But I have Raisin Bran downstairs in our kitchen.
It is a nice treat. So think of other things that you guys can be doing. When you think of your sandwich bread, do the carbs divided by fiber to see if it's really that rich fiber that we're doing. My household has a discussion on that all the time because I really like the high fiber seedy breads, which usually meet the ratio, but my husband likes the ones where you don't have to spend more than $1 or $2 on a loaf of bread, but we also want to make sure that he's getting his fiber tube since he always eats his slice of toast every single morning. Yeah. So you guys let us know if you have any other fun products that meet the ratio, and put it in the comments below and let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, I encourage you to go into your pantry and pick one thing and just see if it meets the ratio and let us know. All right, we'll also in the comment section, we'll also link our blog post about the 5-to-1 ratio.
And it has a cheat sheet with some of the common things that you might want and be surprised about that don't meet the ratio.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a great day.
Bye.